Hi guys, welcome back to a new video on the channel RawAdventure. Today I'll be talking to you about what gear I carry with me when I travel, wildlife photography, any type of photographic adventure I'm going on. This is the gear I take with me. Now, just a disclaimer, this is not a fancy kit, this is more like a budget kit. So today we'll be talking about that. So let's get into it. So, starting at the beginning, camera bodies. I usually carry two bodies with me. I've only recently started doing this because with wildlife photography I like keeping my big lens on this body. It's a Canon 700D, and then I usually keep a smaller lens on this one, like my 50mm or the 18 to 55mm on this body. It is a 350D, not the newest camera on the market. It's quite old, but it gets the job done rather than having no camera at all. So I figured I would carry it with me because with wildlife photography specific, when there is a animal in the distance, you want your longer lens. But what if a bird or something lands next to you or something else happens next to you? You can't quickly switch your lens, so you need a second camera if you want to capture that moment with a different lens. So you can play around with it, you don't have to do it. It depends on your style of photography. A street photographer would not need necessarily two cameras, but it's all up to you. So I carry the two bodies. Obviously with the longer lens I use the better body because I want a better quality image of that. So because it's a more zoomed in, more focused type of photo I try to gain with the longer lens, so I use the better body ultimately. Now getting into the lenses I use. Firstly, the big lens. This is just a lens hood, which is fairly nifty with sun and just generally keeping dust off of the lens. So this is the lens. It is a 150 to 500mm Sigma lens. It is fantastic for wildlife photography. This is my very first telephoto long zoom lens, so I'm really happy with this. It's a second-hand lens, it's not new. I think I got it for 5,000 Rand. I think they are new 11, so it was quite a bargain. I had to take it, but I really enjoy this lens. I shoot with this lens most of the time. It's just a really good lens for wildlife photography in general because you can't always get close to your subjects, but you don't need a lens like this because it depends on the setting. It depends on how far away your subject is. Is it a bird? Is it a large animal? Is it a small insect? So it really depends on your style of photography, but I love this lens. It's my favorite. So next up we have the 75 to 300mm lens. This is the Canon lens. I got this with my kit. I bought a kit camera, so not the fanciest lens, but it really does a good job when you're a beginner. So it's a really lovely lens. You can zoom out fairly well, zoom in when your subject's a bit closer. So this is a really good all-round lens for me. I haven't used it as much since I got the 500mm, but it really captures lovely photos. Next up we have the 55 to 200mm Sigma lens. Also comes with the lens hood. Once again, really nice for sun and wind protection for your lens and sun flares and all that. So it's a really lovely lens. It will fit in nicely with the other lens, which is 18 to 55, so this is 55 to 200. So it really gives you that continuous focal lengths that you want. So this is a lovely lens, not much to say about it. Depends on what you want to use it for. It's a good lens overall. Next up, Canon 18 to 55mm, lovely lens. It's really nice for landscapes more than wildlife photography, although you can do landscape wildlife photography, but this is a really lovely lens. It's great for portrait photography as well, so you can really use this lens for almost any application you want. So it's a really lovely lens. So next up we have the Canon 55mm. So this is a really lovely lens. It's great for portrait photography, really well for that because it has an f1.8, so it really gives you that soft background that you want with portrait photography. You can use it for anything, but with a fixed zoom it yeah, it doesn't really bode well with wildlife photography, but you can use it just as you like. Experiment with your lenses. That's the only way you'll learn which lens works for you. Next up we have some accessories that I like to use. So next up we have filters. Filters are really nice to have in your kit. They help you in a lot of different situations. So we'll start with this UV filter. It's just a plain, like, not tinted filter. They say it reduces UV haze, but it really just protects your lens. So it's really nice to have on. It doesn't really affect the photo that much. It really just protects your lens. So that is very good. You want that. Next up we have this Hoya ND4 filter. This is a really great filter for bright lit situations. So if you have too much light, this is really nice. It really helps bring down the light coming into your camera. It works really well in bright lit situations. Also, it decreases the depth of field. So if you want that really nice soft focus, you can also use this lens. And it is great for recording movement, because if it's too much light, you can't slow down your speeds too much because it will become too bright. So this is a really nice lens if you want to capture motion like waterfalls or clouds moving. So this is a really great filter for that purpose. And the last filter I carry with me is this polarized filter. This is an amazing filter. You can see there it turns on a little dial there, so that enables you to change the polarization of the lens. I don't think you'll be able to see it here, but this is amazing for reducing reflections in reflective surfaces like windows, water, anything that reflects and you don't want to reflect. You use this and it'll reduce that reflection. Also, it increases density within the sky and within foliage by reducing light coming into your lens. So this filter is amazing for that. Emphasizes details, gives you deeper tones in your photos. So this is a really, really nice lens to have in your kit. Also crucial to any kit you carry with you, a tripod. Tripods are super important. This is a Vanguard tripod, but any tripod will do depending on your situation, depending on the type of photography you want to do. But tripods are really amazing for getting that stability, getting that crisp, clean image you want to get. So really important, tripods. This is a large tripod. Also, I've got a mini tripod. It's just depending on what you're doing. Depending if you want to get low down to the ground but you still want stability, this little tripod is amazing. But it all depends on you, depends on what you want to do, depends on your photography. So, but any tripod will do. Also, the beanbag can help with stability, but this is really nice. So, do invest in a tripod. Another accessory I like to use is this remote shutter. So, this really helps when you like taking star trail photos or anything that your shutter speed is a bit low, and any camera shake you can possibly have by pressing a button will be caught in your photo. So you just plug this in, press the button, and there you go, you took a photo. Or you can also press the button down and then slide it upwards and it'll take a bunch of continuous shots. So this is really nice, really handy. Don't use it much during the daytime, but with night photos it works really well. Also in my kit I carry obviously the charger and some batteries. Really important, especially if you're going on wildlife trips and just all-round adventure trips where you do not necessarily have power with you, then having extra batteries is really important. Depending on the situation, depending on where you are, depending on what you're doing, but it's always nice to have backups. Rather safe than sorry, I always say. So also in my bag is this lens pen with a brush tip, so you can wipe away dust without scratching your lens, and this softer felt tip bit which removes any smears or stain that you might have on your lens. They're really useful, especially in wildlife photography. Dust is always ever present, so this is a really nice thing to carry with you. Also very important, memory cards. Memory cards are super important to carry with you. Really necessary, especially if you're taking a lot of photos. Absolutely necessary. And now just the last few things I carry with me in my kit. The beanbag. The beanbag isn't always present, but especially when we're going out for wildlife photography, this is really, really amazing to carry with you. Great for stabilization. If you haven't watched our 5 tips for wildlife photography, do go watch that. We'll link it in the description down below, so do go watch that video. Also, I carry binoculars with me. This is a Minolta binocular. It's kind of old, but it still works. Great for birding, great for searching for animals in general. So not really necessary for photography, but it's always in my kit. So there's that. Also, powerbank. Powerbanks are super important, especially if you're out on the road all day. You need to charge your phone, super important. So I always keep this charged and with me. And then, last but not least, these sorts of guys. These I recently got. They are smartphone lenses. So there's a wide angle lens. Screw this bit off and you have a macro lens, which I love. It's absolutely amazing taking macros with your phone. Really easy, really just casual, nothing professional, but it's really nice. And also this fisheye lens, which I don't use an awful lot, but it's really cool to have if you want to take, you know, crazy, funky, creative photos. It's really nice to have. So comes with this little pocket, black eye lenses, really cool. Love these things. It's amazing, especially the macro. Love the macro. Always use it. Always use it. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any ideas for future videos, please comment down below. Like, share and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.